What's going on, guys? I'm Andrew,
I'm Jason.
and this is Movie Source.
Today we're doing a review of Batman Returns.
All right, so Batman Returns came out in June 1992. It was directed by Tim Burton, who was returning from Batman 89. Also, we got Michael Keaton coming back in the title role as Batman / Bruce Wayne. You got Danny DeVito as the Penguin. You got Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Christopher Walken as Max Schreck. Now, for me personally, Jason, I think, at least in my memory, this is like the first movie I think I saw in theaters. It was a month away from being 4, so I was like 3 years old and 11 months or so. And I remember being scared shitless when I saw this movie, but I know people are going to say, how do you remember seeing it at 3? But I have that visual memory in my head.
More of just being scared.
I don't remember the whole movie in theaters, but I remember definitely visual images, for sure, Catwoman, and a few other scenes that, as I said, that were a little scary for kids. But I'm not going to lie, as an adult, and as a kid, I've seen this movie 30, 40 times or so. I loved this movie as a kid, even, again, that I got scared in it. I don't love this movie as much as an adult. In fact, I think it's not a very good movie.
Yeah,
it's decent.
It had been a while since I've seen this movie. Watching it again, I'm not as big of a fan as maybe some of the other Batman movies.
And also, I just want to point out, I'm a diehard Batman fan. You can't really see here right now, but there's about 20 Batman Funko Pops. I've got over 40 Batman Blu-rays. I've got Batman posters. I've seen every animated. The animated series is the greatest show ever. Batman is my life. He's my favorite superhero. I love Batman so much. This movie betrays Batman so much. This movie, to me, it's a Tim Burton movie with Batman in it, not a Batman film directed by Tim Burton, which is a big problem for me, and also a huge problem I have with this movie, and I have a lot of problems with me, but again, as I said in the first Batman 89 review, Batman's a murderer. Again, I have lots of issues when Batman is a murderer.
Yeah, it's not really sticking to his true roots where he just kind of beats everybody up but doesn't kill anyone. He kills like at least 10 people in this movie.
Yeah, not 10, but he kills the devil in the devil costume with the back of his engine. He kills the fat clown. He sticks a bomb in his pants and just smiles on him. I'm like, dude, this guy's a murderer. So again, that was just major Batman flaws for me. Again, as I've said, until Batman v Superman comes out, as it stands right now, Michael Keaton is still my favorite Batman, even though he's a murderer. The scenes where he's not murdering people, the action scenes, I love. I love his suit in this movie. They actually did make an upgrade on his bat emblem. If you look at the bat emblem in the first movie, it's got like a smaller, thinner wing. And in this movie, it was a lot more thicker. The wing kind of more like this. So if you can't see there, more like this. But I love the emblem on his suit. To me, this is my favorite Batman suit so far that we've gotten on film.
I would disagree with that.
Well, that's your opinion, but so far for me, this is my favorite Batman suit.
I didn't think there was very much action for Batman in this movie. He only had like 2, maybe 3 fight scenes in the whole movie, and one of those was with Catwoman, where she says, "Can't believe you hit me. I'm a woman," and then it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then she just beats him up.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how she can just beat up Batman all of a sudden when she turned to Catwoman magically. I have no idea how that worked.
That was a major problem I also had in the movie. By the way,
she falls out of a 10-story building, and all of a sudden some cats surround her, and then she's just magically Catwoman now, and she can beat up Batman.
By the way, I had a major issue with that. Like, I'm rewatching this now. Basically, Max Schreck finds out that Selena Kyle, his assistant or secretary, has figured out his plan for stealing all the power and energy from Gotham because he wants to, build some toxic waste plant or something. He wants to suck the energy out of Gotham, basically.
Right.
And she figures it out, and for some stupid reason spills the beans. Like, I'm like, dude, just tell her you want to die. Tell him you want to die. Why would you spill that information? They made Selena, and again,
it's not like you can just kill me.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, he can. Like, why would you tell him that if he's that dangerous? Like, you saw in the information, I was like, man, and I understood why they wanted to show her with a little bit of a character arc when she turned into Catwoman, show her as a weak, stupid. I thought it was unnecessary. I still would have liked her even if she was smart before.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have saw that.
Preferred it actually.
Yeah, I just thought that made her look so stupid when she spoke. I'm like, why are you telling him this?
And then I don't get how. Like, she falls from the window, and these cats just come up to her, and then all of a sudden she's just walking around all weird, and then all of a sudden, bam, she's Catwoman.
Yeah, no, again, with that, by the way, I gotta tell you, as a kid, I always had to fast forward the scene where Max Schreck pushes Michelle Pfeiffer. Maybe other people don't get scared of that scene. Me personally, I used to, for some reason, I always had to fast forward that scene. I'd get scared as a kid. Now I don't. But as you just mentioned, that makes no logical sense. Give us a rule of why were they magic cats? Are they radioactive cats? Did Max Shrek give them? There's no explanation. The entire movie, they never talk about how and also in the movie, she's got 9 lives. You could take a gun, shoot her in the face, but if you shoot her the first not 8 times, she won't die. She just the 9th time she'll die. I mean, I get it. It's a comic book movie. There's not a lot. There's stuff that's going to be a little fiction based, but explain why just in a sentence or two, and I would have. Okay, at least they made an attempt to explain. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever to me how she came back to life, and why would these cats? Why did they start biting on a corpseless woman? A corpse that was on the ground from the build. Hey, is this food time?
Makes no sense.
So that took me out of the movie a little bit. All right, so Danny DeVito is playing the Penguin in this film. Now, Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito, they actually grew up together. Their parents owned a hair salon in New Jersey, I believe. And obviously, Jack Nicholson had just come off playing the Joker and made a ton of money. I believe he made around $60 million because he got a percentage on that film. Smart move, Jack.
Yeah.
And Danny DeVito and Jack Nicholson, they're still best friends, but obviously at the time they were also best friends. And Danny DeVito asked him for some advice on, how to get it. And Jack's like, just ask them for a lot of money. Obviously, Danny DeVito didn't make as much as Jack, but just getting to his portrayal, I thought he was fine for what the script asked for. I just didn't like the character in general.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about Danny DeVito's performance. It's a fine performance.
I actually like Danny DeVito's performance.
I think Danny DeVito as the Penguin is a perfect choice.
But the Penguin character himself was just kind of weird. It didn't really make sense either.
He was horny. He was vulgar. He had a lot of sexual innuendos. Just the pussy I've been looking for.
I mean, I get it because he's probably hadn't had any sex with any humans in his life.
Okay,
but
I don't want to see a guy with spewing black sewage out of his mouth. And also, too, we're meant to believe that penguins raised this guy after his parents. By the way, cool cameo in this movie, Pee Wee Herman and Savant from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure are Penguin's parents at the very first scene in this movie where Penguin's born. They're the parents who throw Penguin out in the carriage and into the zoo river.
Basically,
yeah, into the sewer rather. That he goes to the Arctic Zoo, I believe it's called. But I thought that was a nice little Tim Burton cameo from Pee Wee's Adventure, seeing Pee Wee in there. And also, too, really quick note: Pee Wee Herman is now playing the Penguin's father again on the amazing show Gotham. Show has gotten better in season 2, but I thought that's cool how Pee Wee Herman's coming back to play Penguin's father again. Interesting. But cool little cameo there. Basically, that's where the story and the plot starts, is where Penguin gets thrown into a sewer. So we're meant to be sympathetic towards this creature, but then when you look at it, it's like, oh.
They didn't really give you any reason to actually feel sympathy for him, other than the fact that he was thrown in the river as a baby, but like, I don't know, they didn't really go into Penguin that much, or even how he grew up or anything like that.
They didn't go into much character development at all in this film. They left a lot of things just unopened. And also, too, as you said, I had a big you got to turn your brain off to be entertained, I feel like, to watch this movie, because, again, nothing makes sense.
There were so many things I just didn't get, like, they mentioned in the movie, like, they're trying to make Penguin run for mayor, but they had just had the elections, but now they can just have more elections anyway, right. But the mayor's still there, but then the Penguin's running for mayor, but then the mayor's still there. I don't really know what's happening.
I understand what you're saying. That didn't bother me as much, but I understand they're making their own rules. But whatever, that's least of the problems of this movie, in my opinion, but that's definitely an issue, how they're just making up stuff as they go. They don't care if it makes sense or not, as clearly stated in that scene.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed Christopher Walken as Max Shrek.
Yes.
He did a good job. The character, again, wasn't fully fleshed out. They didn't go into much with him, but I liked his performance in the role.
I'd say he's actually one of, if not my favorite character in the film.
Probably my favorite.
I wanted to see more of this guy. I actually liked the plot, and where he's trying to suck out power and energy, and then Bruce Wayne is on to him. That scene between him and Bruce, where, again, I wish that scene was a little longer. And
it's a great scene, but it's so short-lived.
Yeah, and very short. It's literally like a 1.5-minute scene, and then until Michelle Pfeiffer intervenes, at least in the scene. But then, again, they just left that power plant thing like completely unopened. It makes sense why he would want Penguin to back. He needs a mayor that's going to allow him to do his plan, because Bruce Wayne has already convinced the mayor, this guy is sucking the power out of Gotham. You cannot let him do this. So Christopher Walken now needs to use Penguin. I did like the angle of Penguin, like, hey, you're a very where he says to Shrek, you're a very well-respected monster, and I am to date not. So, he wanted to get in the public image for an interesting reason. He wants to kill, because he's so mad at society for what his parents did, he wants to kill all the firstborn children of Gotham. Again, I was talking to you about this. I would have felt much more sympathetic to the character had they gone like, look, he's been thrown out of society, and now he wants to rejoin society, which they actually did use on an animated series episode where Penguin's trying to rejoin society, and he's kind of rejected the girl. He finds out that the girl in the episode like is using him, and then it makes sense why he becomes bad there.
Yeah,
There's more sympathy
turns him
to
a little bit.
Yeah, we understand. Okay, that makes total sense. And I'm not going to claim how I would feel if my parents threw me in a sewer. I'm not going to say I wouldn't. I understand somewhat of his motivations, but you made the character so unsympathetic when he just wants to murder everyone, and so I had a major issue with that. I would have preferred a little more of the comic version where he's a mob boss, he's British, he's smart, he's intelligent, and he wants to rule, the ganglands of Gotham. And that's my favorite version of the Penguin, not this gooey, horny, weird, deformed-looking thing that just wants to kill everyone in Gotham.
Watching this movie, I kind of just felt like there's all these characters who have stories, but like Batman is almost off to the side. Like the movie's more about Penguin and Max Schreck and then Catwoman, and then Batman's in there every once in a while. Like there's really not that much Batman in this movie.
Right. Now I agree.
Like I said, there's only like 2 fight scenes.
Yeah, I would have. I'm not gonna lie. I would have liked a few more Batman. Again, I would have liked some more plot fleshed out, some more characters fleshed out. The main biggest problem in this film, the characters are not that interesting, and the story is just all over the place and doesn't make any logical sense. So that's the 2 biggest issues of this film, amongst other issues. And again, the biggest, most glaring thing for me, as I said earlier, this is a Tim Burton movie with Batman in it, as opposed to a Batman film directed by Tim Burton. So that just majorly took me out of it. Also, I gotta mention that Gotham City in this film has had a complete transformation from the first film. In the first film, they were shooting in London. And you can tell,
looks like a city.
It looks like a
Gotham
huge city. Again, some of the wide shots in this film, it looks like Gotham City for sure. But it
looks like a set.
Yeah, it looks like a closed set in Burbank, which is where they shot. But again, the scenes where the mayor is talking twice, the beginning, and also the scene where the baby is stolen, there's like 20 people in the crowd. Are there any people in Gotham City?
Yeah.
It's like 20 people a scene. It's ridiculous.
And I'm sure they were trying to save some money filming, but...
Saving money? Do you know how much money they made on Batman 89? They made so much money that they told Tim Burton, go and do whatever the hell you want on this movie. Clearly, he did whatever he wanted. And it was understandable on Warner Brothers' part. He just came off of Beetlejuice, just came off of Batman with the success of that, and he just made Edward Scissorhands, another phenomenal movie that we hope to review one day soon. Mm-hmm. So you understand where Warner Brothers came from, but there's got to be a certain point where you just have a little... It
still has to be Batman.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this movie is just not about Batman in any way. He's just in the movie. I think he's just there to beat up the bad guys, and...
He's there to sell the tickets.
Well, yeah, which he did. I went to see the movie a few times.
Well, of course, it's Batman. You're going to go see Batman, but they didn't really use him in this movie very much.
No, I agree. And again, I didn't want to let nostalgia, cover my eyes and blind me. I really want to love this movie. So I want to love every Batman movie. I never want to ever dislike a Batman movie. But I had a hard time getting through this. I must have paused it 2 or 3 or 4 times so I could understand what I was watching and make sense of what's going on. It was just so jumbled.
There's just so many wait, how did that happen? Or when did this happen? I just, at least 3 or 4 times for me watching this movie, there's just questionable moments that almost, maybe you're like you said, stop watching the movie and think about how that happened. I'm like, wait, did they talk about that? No, they didn't. What the hell? Right.
And some other characters we got to mention. Michael Goff again as Alfred. Look, I mentioned this in the other Batman review, 89 review. I love Michael Caine as Alfred. He's amazing. Michael Goff is Alfred to me. He's so good. I love him as Alfred. Even in this movie, I love him. He's very good.
In this movie, he was only in 3 scenes.
But the 3 scenes he was in, he was very effective, and I love his relationship with Bruce. Again, I wish... You just mentioned another problem. Show more scenes with Alfred and Bruce. They're interesting. I want interesting characters.
And they're carryovers from the last movie.
Yeah, and also, speaking of carryover, I love that scene where they're talking about security for the Batmobile, and he's like, security? Who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave? I'm standing there, and I'm like, hey, Vic, come on in. I'm like, I love that part. I mean, I was like, okay, Michael, you were kind of going to tell her, too, that she was Batman before Joker ring the doorbell, but touche. Good call there.
There's one thing telling her who you are and just letting her see your entire Batcave. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, but I thought it was a fun... I like how we were kind of seeing some consequences of the first film carry over. I thought that was a nice little touch, but more stuff of that kind of stuff. And also he did talk about with Selena Kyle in that scene where they were kind of making out. He talked about Vicky Vale in that scene too, so I thought that was cool mentioning her.
There was another scene where they kind of poke fun at themselves where Penguin is like giving the speech and Batman plays, what he had said about duping everybody over the loudspeakers.
Where he's a DJ, right?
Yeah, and then exactly.
Bruce Wayne the DJ.
And everyone starts throwing like lettuce and tomatoes, and I'm like, what? How do all these people have lettuce and tomatoes? And then Penguin himself says, "Who brings lettuce and tomatoes to it?"
No. He says, "Why is it that everyone always brings eggs and tomatoes to a speech?" I was like, I agree. Why do people bring eggs and tomatoes to a speech?
Yeah, they just have these out of nowhere.
But I agree, but I love how they at least poked fun at it with the line.
Because I thought about that right away, but then he said the line. I'm like, that's at least kind of funny.
That was clever. I thought it was a clever little moment. Also, we got to mention Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. I'd say I like Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon, which I do, but he's not in the movie.
He's in like one
scene. Tim Burton, did you read the comics? Commissioner Gordon is a big part of Batman. He's his silent partner. You have him in 2 scenes, and I can quote those 2 scenes. "Thanks for saving the day, Batman. I'm afraid the Circus King is back." "We'll see." That's it in that scene, and then, "Hold your fire!" That's it. And then also on the news station where he's like, "This is circumstantial evidence." I'm like, do you know anything about Commissioner Gordon, Tim Burton? Do you know anything?
We obviously don't watching these movies. So.
Yeah, I mean, guys, seriously, if you got to, you should still watch all these movies, just so you can see how it all started. But if you want a real take on Commissioner Gordon, watch the Christopher Nolan series. That's a much better take on Commissioner Gordon because he's not in these movies.
He's a real character.
And he's useless in these movies. He's so useless. He tells Batman, "Thanks for saving the day." And he tells his police to hold your fire. Why didn't you tell them to hold your fire before you opened the door? He's so useless in this movie. I can't believe I'm saying Commissioner, my last name is useless. This is ridiculous. So that really annoyed me in the film, just not using characters to their strengths. Also, I got to mention some things we did love. The score in this movie by Danny Elfman. I've listened to the score of this movie so many times. It's amazing. The scenes where Batman is fighting the circus clowns. I love that score. So good. Every scene of the score. The scene where Penguin, spoilers, is dying. The music in that scene, just a real, again...
It makes you feel... The characters don't give you any emotion to feel, so the music kind of helps you, push you, it tells you what to feel.
Absolutely, and basically what I'm saying is Danny Elfman is by far my favorite composer of the Batman series. One of my favorite composers ever, but I love Hans Zimmer. I love James Newton Howard in the Christopher Nolan series. I'm sure I'm going to love Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL and Batman v Superman, and also Elliot Goldenthal's. Even Batman Forever and Batman Robin. I liked his themes. They were cool. Cool soundtrack and scores. Not the movies, the scores. But again, Danny Elfman just nails it, and I'm just rewatching it. I'm like, I love listening to this music. It's all so good from the opening titles to the end.
Because that main Batman theme just resonates with you, and you obviously know it so much.
But even on the scenes where Catwoman is, for whatever reason, transforming into Catwoman after she's been bitten to life by magic cats, that music was the It was just great music, and Danny Elfman nailed it. Again, the wide shots of the city, I love. They look good. The interior shots make it look like it was on a closed set as opposed to a wide city like in the first film. So I had, again, I love the wide range shots of Gotham. It looked really cool. I like Max Shreck's kitty building. I love all the Christmas themes to this movie. That was a nice touch. The Batmobile is back, as we mentioned in the last review of Batman. The Batmobile to me is a character. And I love this Batmobile so much, and I'm very happy to see it back. It was cool to see them when he uses the shields. You can tell this time, much better CGI than in the Batman 89. Yeah. So I thought that was a cool touch right there. We got to mention that scene where Penguin is controlling the Batmobile. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. For them, where do you get the plants of the Batmobile? Okay, my brain shut off anyways at this point, but then Penguin's got a Batmobile in his trailer. Where do you pick one of those up? Where do you get... And then he can control the thing. It's a cool idea for a cartoon, not a live action movie. It makes no sense, again, logically.
I just feel like that's what they were kind of do is, bring a cartoon to life. It just wasn't that effective.
No, again, just rewatching, I'm like, as a kid, I might have found that funny and entertaining, but it's just, makes no sense, and it's stupid. And then I got to say, too, the scene I mentioned earlier where I used to get scared as a kid, the second scene that used to, again, maybe not you guys didn't get scared, maybe you did, the scene where Penguin bites the guy's nose and the blood comes off, again, now it's, as an adult, I have no fear of that scene now. I always had to fast forward that scene. And that the reason of me doing that is why Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, parents were complaining over this movie saying it's too scary for children. It's because kids like me, I had to fast forward. I wasn't complaining to my parents, this is too scary or anything. But my parents obviously were noticing me fast forwarding a Batman movie, and they're like, "Why are you fast forwarding?" It's kind of obvious when a guy's biting a nose off that I'm a little scared of that scene, and the scene where Max is pushing Selena off. So again, I know this movie was not directed for kids, but the Happy Meal toys were. I have a million of the Batman toys, from McDonald's. So there is some marketing appeal towards the kids, and I just feel like Tim Burton had no kids in mind for this film, clearly, which is fine. I understand where he's coming from, but again, I didn't. It just those are very haunting images for children, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So, all right, so guys, as we said earlier, I really wanted to love this movie, and rewatching it again, I had trouble getting through this film. Like, I had to pause it a couple times at least. It's a very strange film. The direction, it's just a total Tim Burton movie. You can completely tell from the music to the sets, which is fine. Every director should have his own style, but again, when it comes to Batman, it's got to be a Batman film first, not a Tim Burton film that Batman's in. I'm going to give this movie a 7.0 out of 10, and it pains me to give it that 7.0.
I didn't have as much nostalgia watching this movie because I had seen it as a kid, but maybe only 1 or 2 times. So watching it this time, like you said, definitely was a task. And I had to just think throughout the movie, how did all of this happen? I don't get it. I'm going to have to give this movie a 6 out of 10, and I think that's being generous. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Please let us know your thoughts on this movie in the comments below, and if you want to see more reviews like this one, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.